Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining this session. In this session, I will share about the challenges of adopting Kubernetes and how Amazon EKS Blueprint can help to overcome these challenges. My name is Rio Astamo. I work at AWS as developer advocate in Indonesia. Let's start. Here's our agenda today. We will walk through again several challenges that we may face during adoption of Kubernetes. And we then see how Amazon EKS Blueprint can help to solve those challenges. And then I will show you a demo how to run Kubernetes cluster, workload management, and team management using Amazon EKS blueprints. But I will start with Amazon EKS first, which is a managed Kubernetes service from AWS. With EKS, you have flexibility to run your Kubernetes cluster depending on your workload needs. The most common one, you may want to run your Kubernetes cluster on AWS region and take advantages of availability zones. Or if you want low latency to your customer, you can choose AWS local zones. But for any reason, you still want to run Kubernetes on your own current infrastructure, then you can choose EKS anywhere. Bottom line is you have flexibility and choices to run Kubernetes on AWS. There are different kinds of applications that you can build using EKS. From a legacy monolith app to machine learning to web API, from e-commerce side, automotive industry to streaming show. It's a really broad spectrum in terms of complexity of apps that you can build using Amazon EKS. By using EKS, you are automatically having a lot of options of tooling and software that already available for Kubernetes ecosystem. But as you can see it's a lot of options. And this could create a problem if you don't properly manage them and configure them according to the best practices. This is some of the challenges. Here are the challenges that I want to highlight. First is cluster management. How do you enforce best practices to run Kubernetes cluster on AWS? And let's say, how do you want to configure multiple teams on your Kubernetes cluster? Let's say you want to separate between platform team and the application team who manage the app. And then there is another challenge, which is add-on management. As I said before, it's a lot. How do you manage them, install them, and manage their dependency? And the last one is workload management. How do you give flexibility, let's say, to the application team to do their own deployment without having to rely on the platform team? This is the set of challenges that you may face when adopting Kubernetes. In terms of data plane for your worker nodes, Amazon EKS gives you flexibility to manage the EC2 instance by yourself or going serverless with AWS Fargate. If you do not require some kind of kernel tuning or configuration tuning for your operating system, I would suggest just go with serverless, AWS Fargate. It will save you time. After your Kubernetes cluster up and running, you still have homework. What is the homework? You still have to choose additional software and tools to operate your cluster. You know, like from continuous delivery to observability, the list goes on and on. This is where your configuration may become complex and probably hard to manage. And then we have multi-team consideration. How do you provide kind of identity and access management like I said before? Let's say, how do you provide policy for platform team? How do you provide policy for the application team? How do you enforce them? How are the best practices? How we configure the namespace for the team and the apps? This is the challenge, and it requires you to know a lot about Kubernetes, and it's quite complex. So all the challenges that I've mentioned till now is how to make your Kubernetes not getting into the mess configuration like that one, but how to make your configuration of Kubernetes to beautified, tied together like on your right side. This is our challenge. This is where Amazon EKS Blueprint comes to help. It is an open source framework which allows you to configure and deploy Amazon EKS cluster based on AWS best practices and recommendation. It has two choices of IaaS tool that you can run EKS Blueprint. The first one is you can run EKS Blueprint using AWS CDK. And the second one, you can use Terraform. And in this demo, I will show you how to run Kubernetes cluster using Terraform. By using EKS Blueprint, with just few lines of code, you can create Kubernetes cluster with easy. And you can manage the add-on using Git repository. And then you can leverage GitOps-based workflow, which is simplify a lot your day-to-day management. I will do some demo, and I will divide my demo into several stages. The first one is I will show you how we can easily create a Kubernetes cluster and how to manage the cluster into multiple availability zones. In this section, I will create VPC, subnet, and the cluster for the worker nodes. And then I will show you how you can create multi-team. You can create the platform team who manages the cluster and application team who manages the app. And let the application team having a self-service to do their own deployment without having to rely on the platform team in day-to-day basis. And on stage 3, I will show you how we can install add-on. In this demo, I will show you how to install several add-ons such as Argo CD, Fluentbit, and several others. The last stage for the demo, I will be deploy 2 apps using Argo CD and show you how it easy to deploy using EKS blueprint. So it will leverage Git-based workflow for the add-on management and how we deploy the app. Okay, this is the Terraform file that I organized for my EKS blueprint. You can see we have several files here. The most important one first is how we define provider to run the EKS blueprints. We need AWS provider, Kubernetes, Helm, and kubectl. After we define the provider, this is the main file. In this demo, I'm using 3 modules, VPC for creating the subnet and stuff, and then EKS blueprint for creating the EKS cluster, and then the last one is Kubernetes add-on for add-on management and workload management to deploy the apps. So as you can see, this is a Terraform file. Here's an overview of the configuration. I'm using a module from the registry of Terraform. It's a Terraform AWS module. Here I define several parameters, ADR and the AZ. In this one, the configuration is located on the other file. I will spread my nodes into 3 AZ. And then we have public and private subnet. I will run the node on the private subnet. And then this is the core of this file, which is the EKS blueprint module. Here you can see the source configuration. It is how you can use EKS blueprint. Here I'm pointing to the GitHub repository of the official EKS blueprint module. This is how you use the EKS blueprint, and it will point to this repository on the GitHub. Okay, I will click, and you can define a cluster name, cluster version of the Kubernetes. In this demo, I will use 1.23 for the Kubernetes cluster. Here I'm using some roles so I can access the Amazon EKS dashboard to show all the objects inside the cluster. And here is the cluster configuration. Here I'm using a managed node group, meaning that EKS will be automatically provision the nodes and it take care of the life cycle of the nodes. Here I'm defining the instance type is M5 large. So the worker nodes will be spread into 3 nodes. To run the EKS blueprint, you just need to apply this command, Terraform apply and the modules. And you need to wait about 10 to 15 minutes for the sake of demo. I just speed up. Nice. We have EKS blueprint. Yep. If we go to the compute, here we can see that this is the worker node for the cluster. The M5 large is the same as we defined on the Terraform file. That is the stage 1, and stage 2 is configuring the multi-team. How we can configure the platform team who manage the cluster and the application team who manage the app and deploying the app. I just need to uncomment this block of code. Here I'm defining a platform team, which is giving admin role and giving it to the user who access or who run the Terraform command. And here I'm defining the application team. For the sake of this demo, I name it Team Riker and apply some quota to this team. So I give a quota for this team, like a number of maximum pods that this team can run, and how many number of CPU and memory that this Team Riker can run. I just need to save and rerun the Terraform apply. And we can see that the policy should be applied to the cluster. If we go to the Team Riker namespace and we go to the quota, it's already applied in our EKS cluster. Pretty easy. Okay, next is the add-on management, how we install add-on onto our Kubernetes cluster. The source of this add-on is the same, which is pointing to the repository of EKS blueprint. I'm pointing to specific directory, modules/Kubernetes-add-on. If you go to the repository, you will see a lot of files, but I will not go deeper in this moment. I just want to say that this is how you configure the add-on. You just say the name of the add-on and just equal true to enable the add-on. And here I will let Argo CD to manage my add-on. Here the configuration of the Argo CD, I'm putting on a separate file. And it's also pointing to another repository. Okay. Here you can see I just enable several add-on, like load balancer control, CSI for the storage, Argo rollout for blue-green deployment. You just specify the name, equal true or equal false, and you're done. It's so easy. And this is how you do add-on management on EKS blueprint. See, if we try to go to add-on, it should automatically install our CSI driver. And if we go to Argo CD, you can see that it manages the add-on. Okay, that is the stage 3. Now I want to go to the last stage, which is deploying the app. So we need to do workloads configuration for our application. And the configuration will look like this. It's pointing to my GitHub repository. This is a sample app. It consists of 2 apps, actually, on my repository. And it will point to env/dev. It's a Helm chart configuration file. And it's pointing to the another directory, which is Team Riker directory. Here I have 2 YAML file. It's 2 apps. It's a 2048 and a guestbook app. Yeah, right now there is nothing on Team Riker because we did not deploy anything yet. So I will try to deploy the apps using GitOps. I just need to push to the repository. And it should automatically there, you have the app. See, you have ingress of the app. It's quite easy to deploy an app. You just need to git push. Let's switch back to the slide. So to summarize, things you get with Amazon EKS Blueprint is you can do cluster, add-on, and workload management with easy. By leveraging GitOps, you will simplify the things. And I suggest you to take the workshop so you can do the same hands-on experience like what I've shown you in the demo. And yeah, you can visit Skill Builder to learn more about serverless or containers. And do not forget the feedback. We really appreciate your feedback. Thank you, everyone.